Our week ahead astrology is going to show us a lot when it comes to our words and phrases this week. We've been in a very mercurial sort of situation the last few weeks. So I wanted to share some words and phrases of the week ahead, and this is for the astrology of February the 26th through March the 3rd. So some of the words that come to mind are subconsciousness, emotional wave, oceans, getting lost at sea, daydreaming, our creative voice, and Mercury is going to be very active, which Mercury was very active last week, and we saw what happened with the network power outages, and that's just leading us through the upcoming total solar eclipse that's going to be through the sign of Aries, where Mercury is going to be extremely active with that. So we're going to have some very, very interesting next few weeks. And then this week is very Jupiterian, Neptunian. We are in the heart and the thick of Pisces season. So music, art, therapy, our emotions, altruism, emotions before logic, our intuition and sensitivity are really important. Also, I want to highlight that the houses that are emphasized over the next week are our 12th house, which is very Piscean in nature, our 9th house, which is very Jupiterian in nature, altruistic, all about friendships, kindness, helping each other out. Our 3rd house, which is very mercurial in nature, and our 10th house, because we're going to have something very big on the way. We're having what's called a stellium. So there is going to be a solar cazimi, which is a conjunction between the Sun and Mercury and Saturn, and that will take place on February the 28th. Now, this is a day to circle for the week ahead, and some of the things that are coming up are again like music therapy, art therapy, mentors and elders, reviewing the writings of those before us who were considered mentors and elders. And this could also be the music of previous generations as well, like the actual, like, what did their lyrics mean? What did civil rights leaders say to us? Like, what were the little grains of knowledge that were left behind by musical theorists or even theorists, philosophers of the past? This could also be like really looking at, certain speeches of civil rights leaders and really looking at that for ourselves and what that means for our decisions of the times now. This could also be like feeling like things are completely slowed down, and looking at the healing arts in a very different way. So other things I want to highlight here, and I have my notes here, this is very ASMR, but I want to look at the nutrition and supply of food, so our nutritional supply, and this is something that's important to take note of over the next few weeks, especially as we're heading into this Aries total solar eclipse, which is going to be very close to Chiron, and it's going to be very close to Mercury. So we are in like a longer term cycle that I don't think we're realizing we're actually in. And this week brings a lot of processing. So this is kind of like it's slow and then it's deep and then it's, something from our subconscious realms are brought forward, but it's almost like we're kind of in this interplay. And I want to say some other stuff. So something that I wrote notes about, and I have to put my glasses on because I can't see. Something that I wrote notes about is that, what's also going to come to the forefront is the bread supply, nutrition, monetary needs, generational beliefs and wisdom. With the network down for certain cell phone providers, this brings, last week could have felt like a Mercury retrograde, and with the stellium this week between Saturn, which is like purpose and, in a lot of ways, like our responsibility in the sign of Pisces, with Mercury there, with the sun there, there were these solar flares. So there's a couple things to ask, with the network going down last week and pharmacies being hacked. Is this a precursor here? Is this something where, running technology such as Starlink will eventually be what our internet access will be? what about that mystery balloon over Utah and Colorado? Are all these things related? And there's going to be a lot more questions before we get a lot of answers. This is going to take us into our eclipse season. So this interconnectedness that, in my humble opinion, actually began last March with Pluto entering the sign of Aquarius, and we had a re-up of this in January with Pluto re-entering Aquarius, and then over the last few weeks between these conjunctions of Venus and Mercury, or Venus and Mars with Pluto, there's a lot going on. There's a lot more questions that we'll have before we have answers. We also have a last quarter moon this week, which kind of gives us this interim between that Virgo full moon on the 24th, which was ruled by Mercury. So we had the Virgo full moon on the 24th, where the Sun and Mercury were very close to one another, the full moon opposing that. And so this week, our quarter moon gives us this interim between this full moon and then the upcoming new moon in Pisces. So this quarter moon is going to take place on, I need to check my notes for the date. Hold on. I put her down and then I forget. March 3rd, and that is going to be at 10:23 a.m. Eastern Standard Time at 1332 degrees of Sagittarius. That degree is a widow's past brought to light, or if you're reading for the later degree, that is the Great Pyramid and the Sphinx. So there could be many symbols looking at this upcoming quarter moon, which is where the left side of the moon is fully illuminated. So this is a time where you're in a further question as to what actually needs released in your life. This could also be related to nutrition, because the full moon in the sign of Virgo did highlight things going on. And look at the baby formula, not shortage, but the inflation of prices with baby formula. But this is something deeper regarding our intestinal tract, the microbiome, and looking at our gut health as something as a mental health awareness connection. And I know that research has been out there that the gut is also related to our mental health in general. And also, this is continuing to let go of pain in many ways. And if there's anybody experiencing, flare ups when it comes to inflammation and things like that, this can be an in between time before we head into the new moon in Pisces, where if you have any sort of inflammatory diagnosis, this could be where you're reassessing what that actually means for you. So all in all, I want to say that this week ahead is very jam-packed, and I'll continue doing Trust Your Glitter podcast over here on TikTok. So you can find me, Kristy Belich, here on TikTok, Trust Your Glitter podcast on Spotify and all platforms.